What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Tammy Talks here. All right, y'all. Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 15, episode 10, Healing by Sheree. All right, y'all, let's get right into it. So, we get this montage of everybody kind of celebrating their Thanksgiving, and it's really the clips that they all have posted online. So, we're seeing Sonya and Ross, we're seeing Kenya meet, Brooklyn meet Kenya's father. We're seeing just, Marlo eating her lamb chops. A nice, montage of what all the ladies are doing for Thanksgiving. And then let's get to the mess. So, we know that Sheree invited everybody to Portugal. We get a flashback to 2 weeks ago. And right before that, before they go at least, Drew and Ralph have decided to host like a little brunch at their house. So it's really Ralph that wants to put together this brunch. And Drew was like, I ain't never seen him cook. Like, he don't even know where a spatula is in the house. But if he wants to make it seem as if he is this doting husband and all that type of stuff, okay, but he's gonna have to do a little bit more with it, right? So we can already see the cracks in the foundation with Drew and Ralph. We can tell that we know that the second half of this season, really like the last third or so of this season, they had to go back and turn the cameras back on so they can chronicle Drew and Ralph's divorce. So we're starting to see a breakdown of it. She's, being a little more shady towards him in the comment in the confessional and all that type of stuff. So Drew is coming downstairs. She sees they have a really nice table setting and everything. I like the chairs. It looks really, really nice. So Drew is doing comes down and she sees a chef and a sous chef. And she's like, I thought the guys were cooking. But according to Ralph, we just want to make sure that everything tastes good. So this is just a little reinforcement, if you will. So Drew tells him, where's everybody seating? We usually have seating charts because y'all grown heifers can't get along. So we all have to kind of sit in certain areas. We can't just, come in and sit down like the adults that we our age says we are. Our maturity level is not there. So Courtney brings Bryce again. Look here, Courtney. Are you and Bryce together? Because if y'all are still together, cool. But you can't keep saying that you were just co-parenting with this man when y'all's child is 24 years old. That's a grown woman. She could be on this show with you. So, but Bryce is there. And KANDI is like, oh, I almost didn't recognize him. It's been about 20 years. KANDI, none of us recognize Bryce, okay? Bryce looks completely different the first episode that we saw him on. So KANDI says in her confessional that Bryce is, he is such a nice guy. I wonder how he was able to put up with Courtney, because Courtney seems like a lot. So Kenya sees Bryce and does the absolute most, like the absolute most. Kenya, you just talked to this man on FaceTime. What is it, maybe a month ago? But Kenya, gets excited. I haven't seen you in forever. We know, since Twa. So Sheree then asks, where is Roy? And Kenya was like, oh, he's not here. Sheree's in her confessional saying that, Kenya keeps saying she has this man, she has this man. No one has seen this man. Well, sure we have. Magnetta's seen him. He's Magnetta's friend. We've seen him on the show, but it's like, well, Sheree, where is Martell? Probably in Huntsville, hugged up with Ariane, right? Or is he too busy, plotting revenge porn against Mel? So let's not Sheree. Let's keep it cute, because let's not act like you and the man that you paid to be on the show with you are any better than what Kenya and Roy have going on. So Marlo shows up with Scott Lee, who is the guy that she went on the date with. And so they're all like, oh, who is this? Meanwhile, Kenya is like, what in the hell is he wearing? Le eBay must have been closed today. Y'all know she calls Le Archive Le eBay. She calls Le Archive Le eBay. So KANDI, of course, knows him. KANDI is like, oh, he's the head chef over at the Continent. And they're like, you know him, KANDI? KANDI said, not like that. I just know that he's the head chef there, y'all. So Kandi says in her confessional that it's kind of shocking that Marlo is, out entertaining this man again because he is one, he's so much younger than her, and then she mentions that Marlo is saying how she doesn't have sex with men, she doesn't kiss them, she doesn't open up with them until they start spending money. Poor behavior. That poor behavior reminded me of do y'all remember the Clark sisters? The Clark sisters movie on Lifetime, and was it Jackie or Twinkie? One of them like sold the rights to the music or something for that Cadillac, and they mama was like, poor decisions, poor decisions. That's what that reminded me of. So Kandi is like, but if Marlo's, it's basically a if you like it, I love it type situation. So Kenya asked Kandi about the movie. What's going on with the movie? What's good with it? Kandi said, oh, we're working on casting. We're hiring crew now. So Kenya is like, where is my offer? Not an audition, not, an invitation to audition, not a casting call. Where is my offer? And Kandi was like, no audition, just the offer. Kenya said she is past that point in her career. Now, Kenya, you can't rely on Twa for everything, okay? You were in what? We know you were in Twa. We know you were Mrs. Bozak. Okay. What else was Kenya in? Kenya had a very small role in Deliver Us from Eva. Remember, she was at the bar. I hate you. I love that movie. But like that's really all it is for Kenya. Now, Kenya, you are somebody, right? You want to call yourself the culture? I'm not gonna argue with you about that. But like a popping actress, you just are not. You just are not. And it's not to say that Kenya cannot act, but we haven't seen Kenya in anything since then. I think Deliverance from Eva was the last thing we saw Kenya Moore in. Unless I'm mistaken. I did not look up her IMDb, okay? So we find out that Drew, who has been acting, even though somebody on Twitter was like, Drew hasn't been in anything since the game. Sure she has. Sure she has. Drew was just in the TLC movie playing T-Boz. Now, has the movie been about 10 years ago? Sure. Sure. But we know that Drew can act, okay? So, which I didn't even realize that TLC movie was 10 years ago. That is crazy. That is crazy. I feel like that's wrong. That movie had to happen sooner than that movie had to happen sooner than 2013. Nonetheless, Kandi is saying that Drew, they in the confessional that Drew is playing the role of this young and naive woman that gets turned out. Not saying that I think Drew is young and naive, but she knows how to play like she is. And I said that's true. Because I don't think Drew is as naive and gullible and dumb as she plays either. I honestly don't. I really, really don't. So Kenya said that she's the one that put threesomes on the map. In her confessional, Drew is like, how long ago was Twa? Maybe it's time to put that acting career to rest and let it go. Now, Drew, that was unnecessary. That was unnecessary. Even though Kenya did call your video low budget, but I don't think Kenya is even serious about acting anymore. You know what I mean? Because I feel like if Kenya wanted to get cast in some stuff, she could easily be over there in Tyler Perry Studios. Kenya could easily get a role, in the Tyler Perry situation. So I don't think that it's the fact that Kenya still even wants to act. But Drew didn't have to say that, and Kenya was very offended by that on Twitter. She felt the way about that, said that she's always been supportive of Drew and all this other type of stuff. I mean, you did call her video low budget, but you showed up to support, and that's the important part, right? So while they're talking about this, Roy FaceTimes Kenya. So Kenya holds up the phone like ladies all like to do. Look at my man. And Marlo said, is that Roy? I know Roy. He always kill me crazy, right? We find out that Roy slid not slid in her DMs, but he commented on one of Marlo's posts, and from there they began to converse and they went out on a date. According to Marlo, it was just one date, not a big deal. She thought he was corny, thinks he could be perfect for Kenya. So after Kenya hears this, she gets up from the table, says she can't talk, goes over to the side to talk to him. He lets her know he's in Miami, but he'll be back on Monday. So Sanya's like, what are the Sanya waits until Kenya comes back to say, what are the chances that they dated the same man? And Kenya is like, I'm glad that he realized what he didn't want, what he didn't like, and then he found it with me because now I have him. Now, was that shady? I think that was just light, playful shade. Because anybody can say that about any one of their exes. You know what I mean? Or anyone of their current that they know the ex. He ain't like what he wanted over there, so now he's with me. I mean, anybody can say that. So I didn't think that that was a huge, huge deal, but y'all did on Twitter. So in the confessional, everybody's doing the most. And Marlo is like, enjoy the leftovers, bitch. No, Marlo, if you didn't do anything at all with that man, that's not a leftover. A leftover is if you dated the man, slept with the man, did all that type of stuff. But you said y'all had one lunch date and nothing happened since, past that. That's not a leftover, sis. But I'm gonna let you eat, Marlo. So while they're talking about this, Sheree then brings up the fact that Kenya was talking about Martell being in her DMs, but she's wondering why this is not a big deal about Roy being in Marlo's. I think the difference is I think it's Martell's reputation. I think it's Martell's reputation, to be honest. The fact that Martell, what he did, because Kenya has said she watches Love and Marriage Huntsville. She has seen what Martell has done. She knows how Martell not only cheated on Melody, but then had this baby with Ariane and like is still, harassing Melody now. That's what Kenya is talking about. So just kind of be careful. That's what I took from it, at least. I could be wrong. The thing, I don't know why. I just feel like it's two different scenarios. I think it's two different scenarios. This scenario, Roy got in Marlo's DMs. We want to call it the DMs, but they went out on a date. They talked for a minute. I guess to me it seems like two different things. To me at least. So Sheree then asks Drew, is the chef gonna get paid? And everybody is like, what? Because Sheree, you got your nerve. So Drew was like, what are you talking about? Sheree brings up this lawsuit that's in the blogs. Drew said that there was somebody who wanted to cook for her family. The food was nasty and there was hair in the food. So she is now suing Drew for $1,000. And they all were like, $1,000? Girl, just give her that money. She just wants attention. So Drew was like, I pay my bills. So then Sheree is like, so this chef is going to get paid though, right? And Kenya was like, I Sheree, not you being the one that's asking. And it's like, Sheree, this feud that Sheree has with Drew is getting old. It's actually been old because it's not even a valid feud. It's not a valid feud. And then we get into it a little more at the end of the episode. But I'm tired of Sheree like coming after Drew for no real reason. Like you just nitpicking shit to mess with her about now. So Drew was like, they'll get paid like everything else that I do. I pay my bills. So Sheree looks a mess in her confessional. And I don't think I mentioned it last week because I was going to let it slide, but Sheree looks a mess in her confessional. She, on top of the fact, why is her so close? Bravo is so shady unnecessarily. So Courtney is talking to Kenya about crisis manager and all this other type of stuff, and Kenya saying that she is the crisis. She don't need no crisis manager. While she's doing it, Courtney is saying little slick things while constantly grabbing on her. I'm a person too. I don't like you to be grabbing and touching on me and all that kind of stuff while we're laughing. I don't like that either. So Kenya tells her, I know that this is how you are, but I'm going to ask you to stop putting your hands on me. And Courtney was like, I'm not putting my hands on you. Kenya said you touched me 3 times. And she was like, oh my God, and she said something to Drew, and Drew was like, no, she's just setting her boundary. Courtney is still trying to find that moment. Now you went after Kandi. You gonna really try it with Kenya? Because I don't think you're gonna win with Kenya. Kandi might let it go. Kandi will let it go and just kind of move past it and just not fool with you. Kenya is not gonna let it go. Kenya is going to give it to you. So just be careful. Just be careful. Just be careful. Soon as Kandi put that last bite in her mouth, she jumped up, went outside, and told Ty, let's go, let's go. Kandi was ready to go. Kandi was ready to go. So we are headed towards Portugal, y'all. We find out that Kandi is sick on the flight. I have had food poisoning before. Absolute worst feeling ever. Absolute worst feeling ever. I don't ever, and I mean ever, want to get sick with food poisoning again. Then you add it to being on the airplane too. Sheesh. So Kandi said she spent the better part of the entire flight, which was 8 hours, in the bathroom. So they arrive in Algarve, Portugal. And Sheree is giving this speech while they're on the sprinter about how we're going to have a good time. This is about healing. We're going to channel positive energy. When she says that, Kenya turns and looks out the window. Here's the thing. Kenya does these things to get attention and to get the camera on her. We all know that. So the fact that Kenya turned her head when Sheree mentioned positive energy, we know that Kenya did it on purpose. So Kenya turns and looks this way, like, getting a little moment in. And Sheree is like, why you look out the window? Kenya was like, no, I was looking at your lipstick because it's a nice little ruby situation. And it's just whatever. They get to the hotel, they're all calling their respective families. They sit down to eat. And Drew is saying that, Ralph is in Vegas and he's auditioning for Chocolate City, which is basically the Black Magic Mike. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I think Ralph has a decent enough. Ralph has a nice body, but I just feel like, why do you want to do that, Ralph? Like, what is Ralph's job? Isn't he like in finance or something? No, sir. So they all get to their rooms. They're all, woo, this is nice. Everybody's excited. Meanwhile, Kandi, who done been to, all these luxurious 5-star hotels, walks in and looks around like, okay, bathroom, puts her stuff on the couch, and she's chilling. You can tell Kandi still does not feel good. And I know that is the worst thing ever, to be that sick. Now you're tired from it, you're drained, you're fatigued. Still have to not only interact with all these other people, but film and show up on camera as well. Otherwise, the fans and the viewers are gonna say how you're behaving a certain way too. It's like a lose-lose situation. So now we get this like tri-split situation where Manetta and Drew are talking, Sanya and Marlo are talking, and then Kenya and Kandi are. So let's start with Manetta and Drew. Drew said that she's never been to Africa, only South Africa. Drew was saying it like, I never been to Virginia, just West Virginia. You know what? I'm gonna chalk it up to Drew is tired. Drew is jet lagged. That's what I'm gonna chalk it up to, because I know that Drew knows that she. If you've been to South Africa, you have been to Africa. It's almost as bad as when Raven Simone said, "You know what? I did my, what did she do? Like her what is it called? 23andMe." And she was like, "And I am from every continent inside Africa." And everybody was like, "Oh, okay, if that's how you want to do it, it's okay, sure." But Manetta tells her that she has an orphanage over in the village. Drew thought she had a whole village. I said, Drew needs to just go lay down, take a nap, because she ain't processing shit right now. But we find out that Drew feels the way that Sheree brought up that lawsuit, and she said that, Sheree would be one to know about her not paying people. So Drew felt the way. Drew was embarrassed. It wasn't cool to say. It wasn't necessary to say. Drew felt the way about it, as she should, because it came way out of left field. And Drew thought that her and Sheree were cool and on one accord. Excuse me. Meanwhile, we have Sanya and Marlo. We have Sanya and Marlo. And Sanya is once again being messy and talking about the DM situation with Martell. And see, this is really why a lot of viewers outside of like a very select few don't see it for Sanya. Because I feel like Sanya is purposely like riling up Marlo. Purposely. What difference does it make? So now Sanya is like just doing, it's like it's not natural for me. The way that Sanya goes about being messy just is not natural. It doesn't seem natural at all. It gives very forced. Marlo said that Kenya just can't deal with the fact that she feels Marlo feels that Kenya is bothered by the fact that she went on a date with Roy when it doesn't seem like Kenya cares at all. That it doesn't seem like Kenya cares at all. Then we get Kenya and KANDI, and they're talking about the energy of the group and how they think everything's going. I think Kenya, went to go check on KANDI more so. So while they're talking, Kenya starts saying that she has like an appointment about her divorce. KANDI was like, I'm sick of you in this 3 year long divorce. Kenya makes a joke about how the divorce has been going on longer than her marriage, which is facts. It's a little alarming. We see now, I'm sure you guys have heard by now that Mark is now feeling like Kenya is in contempt of court because Marlo was banging on that hotel door and that put Brooklyn in the midst of a fight. So, but Kenya mentions that she already knew about Marlo and Roy because he told her, and she really does not care. It doesn't bother her. It doesn't bother her. I think Marlo wants Kenya to be super bothered by it, and she's just not. She's just not. So finally, we're at dinner. KANDI clearly still don't feel good. I would say it every scene because you can tell. You can tell. Like you can look at somebody and tell they just don't feel good. KANDI's very quiet. She's just sitting back in the cut. You're jet lagged on top of this and not feeling good. So KANDI really just want to eat and go to sleep. Okay. So Courtney brings up Kenya saying that she was violating her personal space. And she said that, she just felt the way about it. And Kenya is like looking at herself in the knife, which is, I think that's hilarious when people do that. But Kenya said that she asked her to stop touching her in all transparency because it went from her just laughing to being condescending. So that's why she did that. Courtney said that it was giving a very mean girl vibe. Does anyone else feel like that? And Kenya was like, well, I want to thank you, Drew, for stepping in and, speaking up for me and pointing out that I was just setting a boundary. It was a boundary. And she thanks Drew for doing that. And Drew was like, yeah, I mean, she was just setting out a boundary. It's not giving mean girl spirit. And it's like, Courtney, you trying to force this for no reason. You cannot be mad that if you're laughing and grabbing on somebody and you knew what you were doing, you were being shady, you were being rude, you were being condescending in that moment. Who are you to get upset that that person put a boundary in place then? I thought that was so weird to me. I'm sick of Courtney. Courtney is not going to be a friend of the show next season. She's not resonating with fans and she's not resonating with the cast. Drew then wants to bring up the situation with Sheree and the lawsuit. So Drew just kind of feels like I thought we were good, but you for whatever reason decided to pull out my business instead of talking to me about it and to say it in front of everybody. She was like, and we're friends. Sheree said, well, we're starting to be friends. We're starting to be friends. And I'm like, Sheree don't have a storyline either. Quiet as it's kept. Sheree has nothing going on, so Sheree is going to constantly pick with Drew, which I hate that they do because Drew's an easy target. So that's why they do it. So Sheree is like, well, you lied on me about the reunion. Damn it, Sheree, I believe her that you had everybody take everything back. Because if that was the case, if they got to keep some of anything, we might have seen one of these heifers with some joggers on. So KANDI was like, well, no. some of the stuff was indeed taken back. And Sheree is like, I don't believe that. So Kandi is like, are you saying I'm lying and making it up? And Sheree said yes with a straight face. And so Kandi is like, Kenya, because Kenya, and then Kenya is like, well, everything was taken back aside from the hats. Kandi said that there were people, Sheree's people, that told them to give everything back. Sheree said whoever took it back, it has nothing to do with her. Your people who willed the shit out told them to give everything back but the hats. And that ain't got nothing to do with you. Sheree, you didn't realize you left with all the stuff that you came with. So they were like, no. But Sheree is like, no, Marlo got a bunch of stuff. They got Marlo sitting up in the confessional with a hat on and a t-shirt. I said, so Marlo took all your stuff. For some reason I don't believe that Marlo took anything then. I feel like Marlo got something after the fact that Sheree gave her. I do not for 1 second believe that. So Drew says, Sheree, how are you going to do a trip about healing when you can't heal yourself? So Drew is like, I thought we were moving forward. We already talked about this. And Sheree is like, no, we're not going to move forward because my feelings were hurt too. Sheree, your feelings weren't hurt. You were embarrassed because you got caught up in the lie. So Drew was like, so we can't move forward. And Sheree is like, I guess I don't know how to. And I'm like, this is stupid. This is stupid. Drew asked for an apology, and Sheree is like, well, you need to apologize because you lied on me first. So everybody at this table is lying, Sheree. That's what you're saying. Ksenia said in her confessional that she didn't get nothing either. But instead of saying you're being a grown woman about it and owning up to it sitting there at the table, she sits there and as usual, she's going to lie and keep her nose up Sheree and Marlo's ass. So she's going to sit there quiet and just keep eating instead of being like, no, we didn't get anything. You want to wait till your confessional to say it. I can't stand Sanya. Amazing athlete. Tremendous Olympian. Right? Icon. But when it comes to housewife and I'm starting to see like kind of like as a person, she ain't that popping. So Kenya is like, well, what do you need her to do to move forward? What can we do? Drew asked for an apology again, said her feelings were hurt. Sheree is over it. So Kenya tells Sheree, I need you to do better as a host. And Sheree's like, I'm doing good. Kenya said you were until now. Up until this moment. So Drew gets up and she walks away from the table and she's crying. Courtney is, now, I don't know if Courtney was laughing at her or laughing with Sheree. But she gets up. You hear Sanya say, Drew, are you crying? Sanya follows Drew out. And then Kenya, who has a good habit of like getting up to check on people, sans Marlo, before y'all say it, she ain't gonna get up and check on Sanya. Check on Marlo. But she gets up and her and Sheree get up because Marlo was like, Sheree, you chased her off crying. Go check on your guests. Don't do this. Go check on your guests. So I'm glad that everybody is like letting Sheree know this ain't cool. You doing too much. Apologize to that girl and just be done with it. Apologize to her and just be done with it. And that was the end of the episode. So let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Not a lot happened, but a lot happened. Otherwise, if you have not already subscribed to the channel, thumbs up the video, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.